Welcome to another episode of the Cigar Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Robert, and today I have the pleasure of being with two great legends. I have Zaya, I have Vartan, and this is a story about friendship and so much more. The first question I want to ask you gentlemen is, how did you two come to know each other and become such great friends?
I'll let Vartan explain it first before I get it. Tell him how it happened. Go ahead, Vartan.
You know, the first day at the PCA show was 4 years ago, I believe.
Yeah. The cigar show you're talking about.
Cigar show we're talking about, the Premium Cigar Association show. And I've heard about El Septimo, and I went to the booth first thing in the morning, and Zaya was around the booth, putting things away, fixing things, introduced myself, and then it was an instant bond somehow, you know. They say you meet somebody, was 30 seconds, either you like or not. We just bonded that day, and then that night we spent up to what, four in the morning,
Yeah.
4 in the morning, talking, smoking cigars, and his lovely wife Sherry was calling him, where are you, Zaya? I'm with Vartan. She thought he was kind of, you know, something different. So he says, here, talk to Vartan. 3 in the morning, she's calling, where are you? I'm with Vartan, we're smoking cigars, we're talking. That was it, and the rest is history.
Well, that's certainly the most organic way to create a great bond.
No, that's exactly what happened. We met each other, and the first thing that gravitated me toward him is that you could tell he's a advocate cigar smoker, and he's very knowledgeable of cigar, because he was asking me all the right questions, and I answered them, and we started spending a lot of time together. And the first time that evening, as he said, we smoked all day, we had dinner, we smoked, and then we spent up to 4 o'clock in the morning talking about cigars, the industry, and so forth. So it was a immediate friendship created by having two very similar souls.
Speaking of cigars, I see you guys are smoking one of my favorite brands, El Septimo. Before I ask about that, though, I do want to give some background. Zaya, you're a manufacturing legend. Vartan John, you are a retail legend, so it's the perfect merger. How did you each come to be in your respective fields?
You know, obviously it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of determination. When I get into the cigar industry, because, you know, we are in many other industry, totally different than cigar industry, in the high-tech industry, software industry, real estate industry, and so forth. I always see if there is an industry that I can add a value to it. If I can add a value to it, positive value to it, I get involved in that industry. If I find out that I cannot add any value to it, I usually stay away from it. So I felt that I always smoke cigar. I've been smoking cigar for 40 years, and I never found a perfect cigar, a cigar to go to, the cigar that you always want to smoke. So initially, the interest started for myself, trying to create a cigar that I think, in my mind, is the world's most perfect cigar. And then I felt El Septimo had the closest cigar to it than I have ever smoked in my life. It was unbelievable cigar. Cigar of the King used to be called, because all the royal family in Europe and Middle East used to only smoke El Septimo. So I smoked a cigar. It was very close to perfect cigar. So I was so infatuated by the quality of the product and the science behind the product, I bought the company.
Okay. So when you bought the company, you became more involved on the manufacturing side. You were already familiar with the quality of the brand, and you wanted to add your own personal touch.
Exactly. The company at that time was around for 22 years, and they had only created 24 different blends. So I bought the company, and in the last 3.5 years, I personally created 35 different additional cigars. Totally 35 different blend of cigars. So, and then since then, El Septimo is one of the fastest growing premium cigar manufacturer in the world.
And I heard it's one of your best-selling ones, Vartan. Is that true?
Absolutely. I've said this many times, it's the fastest growing luxury brand in my store. And I sell a lot of luxury cigars, but this cigar took it to a different level.
What do your customers like about this particular cigar?
Well, the customers like because it's a different cigar. What I mean by that is there's different profiles of cigars, you know. And like I said, we have a lot of cigars in the humidor. But once you smoke a Septimo, it takes you to a different level. because there's no other cigar with this profile. There's no other cigar. So this is why last year being the year of the dragon, and since I'm a dragon, I decided to collaborate with Zaya to make the perfect cigar. Because I said, I'm going to wait 12 years for the next dragon, right? And I was 71. I said, I have to do something big, something special. And then with Zaya's collaboration, we made the perfect cigar, the most beautiful cigar. It's unbelievable. The tobacco that we use is so unique, you know. And people, every single customer who smoked this cigar, they say this is the best cigar we ever had.
You're talking about the one you guys are smoking now.
Yeah, it's the
I
Vartan.
recognize that red band.
Yeah. This is the Vartan the Dragon.
Yeah.
Vartan the Dragon, collaboration with Zaya, El Septimo. We created the most beautiful cigar, the perfect cigar in the world.
And the creation of this cigar actually took a lot of time because it took us a year and a half to create it. We spent close to 22,000 hours of manpower creating this cigar. And it started by selecting the best quality tobacco in the world and then blending it in a way that has never been blended before, and then aging it and fermenting it using an accelerated fermentation process, and then also coming up with a combination of tobacco that has never ever been used ever before in the 500 years of history to create something so exceptional, so unique, and such a flawless cigar that El Septimo Vartan Cigar is. And this year, on the annual issue of Rob's Report, which is the most respected magazine in the world, and they do the best job in evaluating the quality of cigar and the rating of cigar, they name El Septimo Vartan Cigar one of the 10 best cigar of 2025.
That's amazing. That's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the different combination, and I don't want to ask about anything proprietary, but can you tell us a little bit more about that process? I heard it's aged 15 years, if that's right.
The tobacco is aged 15 years. Most of the cigar makers, they develop cigar using a Puro technique, which is the tobacco comes from one region only, right? Because it's easier to blend, right? Because the tobacco is very homogeneous, right? They're related to each other. We took, in this cigar, there is tobacco from 6 different countries. So when you take tobacco from 6 different countries with different acidity level, different ammonia level, different nicotine oil level, and you're trying to blend them together, right? It takes far more complication and far more effort to do that. But when you do it, you create something that when people smoke cigar, the experience will become totally new and unfamiliar to them. And that's what excites them, you know? So it's not the same Coca-Cola you drink every day. It's a Coca-Cola that tastes totally different than any other Coca-Cola in the world.
I want to hear your answer separately on this one, because you're the manufacturer, you're the developer, you're the retailer, so you're dealing with the end user. What were your goals and what were the type of smokers that you were after with this particular brand? And what has been your experience in terms of the customers that really enjoy the Vartan El Septimo cigar?
That's a good question. Obviously, the goal was to create something very unique. And what was our goal? Our goal was to create a cigar that literally most people, if not everybody, can smoke it, can enjoy it, and can agree on the fact that is the best cigar in the world. So when we were going to the blending process, we went to 11 different versions of blending process. We had a focus group study. We selected people from all over the world, and we sent them samples, and we sent them a questionnaire. Because when people make cigar, they make cigar with their own palate, with their own taste. Well, you're not the only one buying the cigar. Public is buying the cigar. So you have to make sure majority of the publics like that flavor, like that combination, and like that experience.
And Vartan, can you complement that a little bit, help us understand it from the customer's perspective?
Well, Zaya said exactly what I was thinking, but here's the difference though. As a retailer, I always say this is a luxury cigar, you know, it's not a $10 cigar, it's a $98 cigar. Why? Because of all the things that Zaya mentioned. The age of the tobacco. But a product like this in the humidor, you have to romance the product, I say. That means you have to tell the story to the customer so that they can understand why this is a $98 cigar. You know, how come other cigars? Because this is second to none. There's nothing above this cigar, you know. And once you put them in their hand and they smoke it, they say, wow, best cigar I ever had, you know.
And they
It's the
don't
best
want to
cigar.
smoke anything else.
They don't want to smoke. But yeah, I explained to them, people who smoke 2-3 cigars a day, they're not going to spend this much money every day. But I said, you need to know about this cigar, because one day you have a special day, you want to celebrate something. When you drink something special that day, you know, this is when you celebrate with this cigar. They said, you're right. And those who can afford, of course, they buy multiple, you know.
I love that. I want to learn a little bit more about how you guys came up with the name and the brand. Now, I know your name is Vartan, but I also know the name Vartan has historical significance.
Yeah, it was. We are one of the few companies in the world that when we design cigar, we don't just design cigar, we slap a name on it. Before we design a cigar, we pick the name. We pick the history behind the name, significant behind the name. And based on characteristic of that significance, we start creating a cigar on it. Vartan is a special name because it is a very well-known old name of a major general, major emperor for Armenian people who was brave, who always fought to protect the villages against other people attacking them. And he was very brave. He fought many wars, and later on he became a saint because of all the good things he did for the people. And then Vartan name, which is sitting to my right, obviously when they name him after that individual. But what they didn't know, the dragon that existed so many 100 years ago, it exists now with this guy in 21st century, right? Which is a legend in the cigar industry. I have found very few people in the world that can retail cigar and run a retail store like a Louis Vuitton retail store and system and method of customer service and having a beautiful profile of product, presenting it well, than this Vartan. So then our goal was to connect this Vartan of 21st century than a Vartan of the 14th, 15th century together in order to have one common name with two different characters with their similarities in it. So the cigar had to be big, bold, powerful, beautiful, and something that when you smoke it, you will not forget about it. And that was where we started. So we had to find exotic tobacco, and not all the tobacco was ours, so we had to go around the world, buy the most exotic tobacco. We had to qualify that exotic tobacco, that it is exotic tobacco. If somebody says, buy this tobacco, is 15 years age, we had to verify it, right? We have to certify it. And after that, the process starts of blending them and creating them. And I've been making cigars in 4 years, but I have made more cigar in 4 years than any other company has done in 40 years. And I tell you, this is not only the best cigar we ever made, but also is the best cigar I ever smoked. And I do smoke 3 or 4 or 5 of these a day, every day. And when someone mentioned a Vartan, I immediately start missing this particular cigar, and I immediately go to it and I grab it and I light one.
I love that. I love that. Can you each tell us your individual experiences with the draw, with the burn, with the flavor, and what you each feel when you're smoking it? I'm just interested in knowing different perspectives.
On the draw, the burn is very basic. Every cigar in the world must have perfect draw, perfect burn. Sometimes it doesn't, which is common because these cigars, each one of these cigars is handmade. You know, over 50 to 150 hands touch the cigar and tobacco before it's made into the cigar. So because there is a human element involved, right? Not every cigar you smoke is perfect, right? Because it's a handmade cigar, you know? That's why if you buy a Rolls Royce or Bugatti, you take it to the dealership more often because it's made by hand. Obviously, there is a variation in human capacity to consistently produce the same product, okay? So that's number one. But what was important that we did not at all compensate, that we did not at all forgot, you have to create a cigar that tastes great, smells great, and is easy to smoke. it's easy to smoke, that you can enjoy it. And to be honest with you, creating a cigar like this, which is Presidente, this is a Presidente Vitola, to create a cigar this long, this big, with this such a big gauge, that is not overpowering, that is easy to smoke, was the most difficult task that we had to deal with in order to be able to create Vartan cigars.
And how do you feel about that, Vartan?
He's right on. Zaya knows. You know, I've been smoking cigars since I was 18. I'm 72 years young now, so 54 years of cigar smoking. But I never ever finished a cigar and then craved another one right after.
Yeah, same here.
This cigar, I finish it, I want to light another one.
Same here. It's unbelievable.
The flavor profile is unbelievable. It's such a unique, such a smooth. And when you retrohale, you know, retrohaling is you blow through your nose. There's no burn because it's aged tobacco. It's so soft and tasty retrohale.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable experience.
Yeah. And one of the reasons for that is, 50 to 55% of the taste buds is in your mouth, the rest is in your nose. Your nose is more sensitive because it doesn't come in contact with the food and everything else, you drink. So the taste buds are 40 to 45%, but they're the more accurate one because they're not damaged. And when you smoke a cigar, your mouth might taste good, but when you retrohale it, if it burns your nose, it's not because the tobacco is strong or not. If the tobacco, no matter how strong it is, if it's blended together, it should be good. It's because there is traces of impurities in it that you didn't get out when you were fermenting it or when you were aging it. Those impurities are like ammonia and nitrate, right? So we try to get that out. We use equipment to measure that there is no ammonia, there is no nitrate in the tobacco before we take a tobacco to the next process.
Gentlemen, thank you for your perspectives. I'm interested in hearing more about what's in store for the future. It's clear to me that based not only on the experiences of the end users, but the amount of thought and energy and resources you've put into this particular product, that it can't be the only one and final one in the pipeline. Do you have more collaborations planned for the future, and can you tell us a little bit about some of those ideas if you're still thinking them over?
Sure. On the El Septimo with Vartan, we are working obviously in developing a collection, one collection of cigars that will have 3 different series of cigars, that these cigars will be introduced differently every year. And it will be a different series of cigars, right? And so it will be a family of cigars that will last forever, but it will change itself year after year. So it gives the customers a variety and a different experience. With regard to El Septimo, we are going to introduce many cigars this year. We have been selected to make cigars for Olympic, which we are going to make cigars for Olympic. There'll be 5 cigars in there for the 5 major continents that participate in the Olympic Games. We will do that, and we will introduce that 2028. And from now to 2028, we're going to introduce 2 other collection of cigars that they have a story behind them. There's a historical story behind them. There is a romance behind them. There is a identity behind them that we captured from thousands of years ago, actually, right? And we bringing it in life. So when you smoke that cigars, you read a chapter about a history of the world. So branding is very important. We're not a typical cigar maker, make a cigar and slap a name on it, right? Silly name on it that means nothing, has no character, has no reference in the past, right? So we combine these things together. And the level of success we had in cigar industry in the last 4 years, which is phenomenal, it's never been done before, is not only a collection of producing the best cigars in the world, but creating a legacy with the history that when people explain the cigar, they reference this for the origin, why was it made and how was it made, to reflect the history, a chapter of a history for people to educate themselves. Because sometimes you're smoking a cigar with a friend of yours or your wife, you spend 2 hours together, close, talking to each other, right? What do you talk about, right? The flavor you get from the cigar, or why was this cigar made, and how does this cigar represent the story that it's supposed to tell you?
It's a lifestyle.
it is a lifestyle, but we are trying to give it a luxury lifestyle, premium quality cigar that when people smoke it, they go to the places both mentally and emotionally that they never been there before. So that is the most complex part of making a cigar. A good example is Queen Sheba. When we made the cigar for Queen Sheba, which was a famous empress of Africa, we had to find a spice that she gave King Solomon 3,000 years ago, that he was so fascinated by it, he asked her to spend a couple days in his kingdom, and then he ended up marrying her. So we had to go find that spice, and we had to go find a technique to blend that spice into that cigar. So when you're smoking it, you can taste what Queen Sheba was eating, what King Solomon was eating 3,000 years ago.
There's so much history in these cigars, and you mentioned luxury. And luxury is something that I think just about everybody likes to have in their life. And you mentioned earlier that this particular cigar, the Vartan, made it into Rob's report. Now, for those of us that don't know about that, can you tell us a little bit more about what that is, what the process is to make it into that report, and why it's a big deal in the luxury world?
Sure. Rob Report is one of the world's most known and most established luxury magazine in the world. They always talk about best of the best hotels in the world, the best cars in the world, the best airplanes in the world, the best watches in the world, the best jewelries in the world. And they have a editor that truly understands cigar better than anybody I have met in my life. And his name is Richard Carlton. And this editor one day, and we don't advertise in Rob's report, so they didn't cover us because we were advertising in it. So this editor one day, somebody gave him in a golf course to smoke the cigar. He was so fascinated by it, he called us and he asked us about the cigar. And we told him about the cigar. And soon, shortly after, 8 months later, he writes a huge report about the cigar, and he calls it one of the 10 best cigar made in 2025. I mean, that's the huge thing. This cigar was just introduced a year and a half ago. And for the year and a half period, for this cigar to make it in Rob's report, the most respected magazine that I strongly recommend people should go always read the end section of it, which just covers the cigar, for them to recognize the cigar and give it that level of stature, it really shocked all of us. We were really surprised by it. And but there will be other reports written by other magazines that they're going to cover this cigar. So this is beginning of the journey for Vartan Cigar. This is beginning of the journey. This cigar is a cigar that long after we're gone, after me and Vartan are gone, people will be smoking this cigar and we'll be talking about Vartan and me. And that legacy was an important part of making this cigar. So we make it for selfish reason. So thousands of years, hundreds of years from now, people smoke the cigar. They'd be so infatuated with how good it is that they're gonna go to the history. Why was this cigar created? When was it created? Who was it created? Who was it created for? And on, and people will remember us. And that's what we really enjoy into this process.
History. Speaking of history, if you could have a Vartan with anybody from history, who would you have it with, Vartan?
Right now I'm enjoying having Vartan with Zaya. He's part of history, and I'm grateful that I met Zaya and we collaborated on this. It's a dream come true for me. You know?
And the funny thing is for all of you, because every time you talk to Zaya and Vartan, you must learn something. So as you know, we were the one who invented the process of cooling a cigar while you're smoking it, right? Because as the cigar heats up, when the cigar heats up, a lot of the flavors die because of the tremendous amount of the heat, because cigar gets very hot at the tip and also gets very hot as you smoke it. So these two cigars we smoke, I surprised Vartan. I had frozen these cigars, flash frozen. in this special freezer. So when Vartan came in, I took him to a refrigerator. I says, Vartan, let's pick these 2 cigars from the refrigerator and smoke it. Not a humidor, regular refrigerator that flash froze these cigars instantly. So Vartan says, are you crazy? I said, well, we'll find out. So we took them, we light them up, and we experienced certain flavors from it, a couple flavors that we have never experienced them smoking it normally. So that's one thing we're going to introduce in the future, how you can enhance your cigar by flash freezing them before you smoke.
This man took the cigar to a whole different level because he does research, he works on it, he reads, he created stuff, he talked about stuff that nobody knew. I've been smoking cigars 54 years, but I enjoy cigars, but we didn't know all these benefits of cigars. You know, for me, it's a lifestyle I enjoy, but he took it to a whole different level, never done before. About nicotine, about all the benefits, you know. That's unbelievable.
Beautiful.
Hats off to Zaya.
Hats off to both of you gentlemen. If you could each leave this podcast with one life-changing fact about your cigars and about the Vartans in particular, I would like to hear just from your individual perspectives, if you may.
Yeah, of course. In our cigars, you can buy them, you can smoke them. I'm smoking with my children, with my wife. There is no additive in it. There is no chemicals in it. It's a natural nicotine. And we scientifically use scientific equipment and instrument. Before we take this tobacco leaf into the next level to be rolled, we measure level of ammonia, nitrate, and other impurities. If the tobacco still has that level of impurities in it, we don't use it until we get rid of it. And that's the reason when you smoke our cigar, you don't feel harshness in your neck or in your throat, you don't feel dizzy, you don't feel overheated. It's because it's free of all of those impurities that is natural in the tobacco leaf, but there are ways and techniques to remove it. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of expenses, but it's good that when you smoke a cigar, you feel comfortable that is not bad for you. I've been smoking cigar for 40 years. I smoke 8 on weekend, I smoke 10 to 12 a day. And at my age, I haven't gone to doctors, my test results, blood results are good. And then when I go to a doctor, he says, you're in good shape. Keep doing what you're doing. I says, well, the only thing that I do constantly smoke cigar. He says, well, look, if you are the way you are and that's the cause of it, keep smoking cigar. So that's the advice I have for everybody.
I love it. What about you, Vartan?
You know, like Leia said, this is not an addiction. Couple of things. Number one, we closed 45 days for COVID, the store. I didn't smoke a cigar.
Wow.
I have a lot of cigars at home, but it's not an addiction. I don't need to go outside and smoke a cigar. When is it that you come out of an airport terminal, you see a guy lighting a cigar? Never. It's a cigarette smoker, right?
Yeah, good point.
So the cigar is a relaxation. What does relaxation do to your body? Gets rid of stress. And what is stress? Stress is mother of all illnesses.
That's right.
Everything comes from stress in life. So it's not just a lifestyle, but it's got a lot of benefits, you know. So you live longer. The average cigar smoker lives 10 years longer than the non-smoker, you know. Because again, I could quit today. I'm not addicted to it, but it's a lifestyle I enjoy and it relaxes me.
Today there is a study published that people use nicotine patch to reduce the body inflammation, both muscular inflammation and bone structural inflammation. And inflammation is what causes stress. When you have a lack of oxygen and blood flow, then you become stressed because your muscle tense up. If your muscle tense up, it puts certain poison in your body that it puts you in an off mode. And a natural nicotine from a good premium cigar actually reduce body inflammation.
Wow.
Yeah, every time if I have a body inflammation, I have a backache, I don't run to chiropractor. I light a cigar.
I love it. That's a beautiful note to end on. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out cigarinc.com if you're looking to buy El Septimo Vartan and many other luxury cigars and premium cigar accessories. That's cigarinc.com.
Thank you.